Today is July 11th. Welcome to Big Book Daily. My name is Rob. I am an alcoholic. It is a thrill, honor, and joy to be here with you today as we journey through the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions. Today out of the Big Book, we are going to continue Chapter 1, Bill's Story, by reading page 2. Out of the 12 and 12, we are going to continue Step 2 by reading page 30. And we're going to read the July 11th entries of the Daily Reflections in 24 Hours a Day. So with that, I hope you all are doing well this morning. Life is good over here. Having a giant cup of coffee in my Spider-Man cup here. So I'm wide awake, feeling good, feeling radioactive. and I hope you all are doing well too. So with that, let's go ahead and get to the good stuff. All right, so if you recall from yesterday's reading, we're in Bill's story now. And of course, we know Bill as the co-founder of AA. And even in the very first page, being a veteran and everything, he's talking about moments sublime with intervals hilarious, talking about how, there were warnings early on that he might have an alcohol problem. So today we're going to continue to see that descent in page 2. I took a night law course and obtained employment as an investigator for a surety company. The drive for success was on. I had proved to the world that I was important. My work took me about Wall Street, and little by little I became interested in the market. Many people lost money, but some people became rich. Why not I? I studied economics and business as well as law. Potential alcoholic that I was, I nearly failed my law course. At one of the finals, I was too drunk to think or write. Though my drinking was not yet continuous, it disturbed my wife. We had long talks when I would still her forebodings by telling her that men of genius conceive their best projects when drunk, that the most majestic constructions of philosophic thought were so derived. By the time I had completed the course, I knew the law was not for me. The inviting maelstrom of Wall Street had me in its grip. Business and financial leaders were my heroes. Out of this alloy of drink and speculation, I commenced to forge the weapon that one day would turn in its flight like a boomerang and all but cut me to ribbons. Living modestly, my wife and I saved $1,000. I went into certain securities, then cheap and rather unpopular. I rightly imagined that they would someday have great rise. I failed to persuade my broker friends to send me out looking over factories and managements, but my wife and I decided to go anyway. I developed the theory that most people lost money in stocks through ignorance of markets. I discovered many more reasons later on. We gave up our positions and off we roared on the motorcycle, the sidecar stuffed with tent, blankets, a change of clothes, and 3 huge volumes of a financial reference service. Our friends thought a lunacy commission should be appointed. Perhaps they were right. I had had some success in speculation, so we had a little money. But we once worked on a farm for a month to avoid drawing on our small capital. That was the last of honest manual labor on my part for many a day. We covered the whole eastern United States in a year. At the end of it, my reports to Wall Street procured me a position there and the use of a large expense account. The exercise of an option brought me in more money, leaving us with a profit of several $1,000s for that year. Tradition number 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. We are on page 30 today. Another crowd of AAs says, we were plumb disgusted with religion and all of its works. The Bible, we said, was full of nonsense. We could cite it in chapter and verse, and we couldn't see the Beatitudes for the begats. In spots, its morality was impossibly good, and in others, it seemed impossibly bad. But it was the morality of the religionists themselves that really got us down. We gloated over hypocrisy, bigotry, and the crushing self-righteousness that clung to so many believers in their Sunday best. How we loved to shout the damaging fact that millions of good men of religion were still killing one another off in the name of God. This all meant, of course, that we had substituted negative for positive thinking. After we came to AA, we had to recognize that this trait had been an ego-feeding proposition. In belaboring the sins of some religious people, we could feel superior to all of them. Moreover, we could avoid looking at some of our own shortcomings. Self-righteousness, the very thing that we had contemptuously condemned in others, was our own besetting evil. This phony form of respectability was our undoing, so far as faith was concerned. But finally, driven to AA, we learned better. Daily Reflection, July 11th. A turning point. A great turning point in our lives came when we sought for humility as something we really wanted, rather than as something we must have. 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, page 75. Either the AA way of life becomes one of joy, or I return to the darkness and despair of alcoholism. Joy comes to me when my attitude concerning God and humility turns to one of desire, rather than one of burden. The darkness in my life changes to radiant light when I arrive at the realization that being truthful and honest in dealing with my inventory results in my life being filled with serenity, freedom, and joy. Trust in my higher power deepens, and the flush of gratitude spreads through my being. I am convinced that being humble is being truthful and honest in dealing with myself and God. It is then that humility is something that I really want, rather than being something that I must have. 24 hours a day, July 11th. AA thought for the day. We in Alcoholics Anonymous do not try to chart the path for the human soul, or try to lay out a blueprint of the working of faith, as one might plan a charity drive. We do tell the newcomer that we have renewed our faith in a higher power. In the telling, our faith is further renewed. We believe that faith is always close at hand, waiting for those who will listen to the heartbeat of the Spirit. We believe there is a force for good in the universe, and that if we link up with this force, we are carried onward to a new life. Am I in the stream of goodness? Meditation for the day. God will protect you from the forces of evil if you rely on Him. You can face all things through the power of God, which strengthens you. Once God has set you on His stamp and seal of ownership, all of His strength will serve and protect you. Remember that you are a child of the Father. Realize that the Father's help is always ready and available to all of His children, so that they can face anything. God will do all that is necessary for your spiritual well-being if you let Him live His way. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may rely on God as I go through this day. I pray that I may feel deeply secure no matter what happens to me. All right, that concludes today's reading. Real quick, I can totally relate to the reading in the tradition, Step 2 out of the 12 and 12 today. Right here, looking at all the people in church, right, and lumping them all into one group. I've done that. Oh, they're a bunch of hypocrites. I'm not going to church. I'm not doing all that stuff. And it says right here, after we came to AA, we had to recognize that this trait had been an ego-feeding proposition. In belaboring the sins of some religious people, we could feel superior to them all. Moreover, here it is. This was me. We could avoid looking at some of our own shortcomings. So it was a deflection technique for me. I was looking at everybody else. Oh, look at them. I don't want anything to do with that. Meanwhile, I was not looking at my own defects. Self-righteousness, the very thing that we had contemptuously condemned in others, was our own besetting evil. I've always heard the saying, when you're pointing at somebody else, you've got 3 fingers pointing right back at you. I've got enough problems of my own to keep me busy for a little while and keep me humble and clinging to my higher power. I don't need to be looking at somebody else's defects. And that's just me. But beautiful readings today, my friends. It's just great. I'm just so grateful to be alive today. So if you are sober, my friends, you are a miracle. And those who love you are very proud of you. So let's keep pressing on. And if we are given another set of 24 hours, I sincerely look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow.